Boom, another day, another dollar. Thank the Lord for another 24. God, I knew that was you. I'm finna go on to work, but quick video before I go on to work, man. We talking about a very serious topic in corrections, within the prison system. We talking about death inside the prison, over my 12-year career, I done seen a lot of death. Some of it natural, some of it unnatural. I done seen inmates get killed by other inmates. I done seen COs get killed by inmates, heard stories of that, man, all that shit. I found an inmate that hung himself. I was only 20 years old. I was a rookie. 4 months into my career working as a correctional officer, I found an inmate, that had hung himself. I was working that unit and I was the one to find him. The shit was traumatizing. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I almost quit corrections. I almost was like, I don't know if this is the right career for me, man. That shit, it kind of fucked with me for a little while. Seeing him, he had tied a shoestring around his neck and tied it to like the cell door, and he sat down right behind the door and hung himself like that. At the jail I was working at, we had like electric doors. So the CO, there's 2 officers that work that unit. One up in the tower, they got like a master control panel. They hit all the buttons to control all the doors, and I was working on the floor. So I'm doing my rounds, and I look in the cell, and I don't see him in the bed. It's on night shift, So I'm like, where the fuck? I look down, he's sitting there. So I knock on the door, and shit, no response. He don't even move. I'm like, what the fuck? I knock again. I'm like, yo, hey, you shit like that. What? Nah, I didn't know what the fuck he was doing. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, man. I told the CO up in the bubble to pop the door. So boom. She hit the button, man. The door rolled open. As soon as the door rolled open, he fell out. He was dead. He was dead. String around his neck. His neck was blue and red. The shit was crazy. I didn't even know how to respond to that shit. For real. I fucking ran off the unit. It was on the top tier. It's 2 stories in most housing units in the prison. I was on the top tier. He was upstairs on the top tier. He flopped out. His body was in front of me. I'm like, oh, shit. Shit hit the fan real quick. I had never, like I said, I'm only 4 months into the job. I have no correctional experience. I never seen no shit like that. I didn't even think at the time, to get on my walkie-talkie and to call a medical emergency in. I just fucking jumped over his body and I fucking started booking it off the unit, I'm halfway up the hallway before I finally get my composure. And I get on my walkie-talkie and I'm like, we got a medical emergency up here. We need help, medical assistance, ASAP up in such as, I think I was working, A8 was the name of the unit I was working, So the nurses, other officers responded. They started giving them CPR and shit. Man, I had to talk to the state police. They did their investigation, whatnot. He was on suicide watch a couple days before. The psychologist, I guess, determined that he was not suicidal anymore. And she made that call to take him off suicide. And a couple days later, man, he was dead. He was in there for child molestation charges and shit. So I guess he had a guilty conscience. Who knows? I don't know. But all I know is fuck with me for like a few weeks. I was really contemplating quitting that shit, man, and going to do something else. But I ended up sticking with the shit. That's a part of working in corrections. At some point in your career, you bound to see some type of death or experience some type of death, working in the correctional system, man. If you work in this shit long enough, like I said, I've seen plenty co-workers, man. We've had the prison I'm at now, I've been there 8 years, or going on 9 years. We've had so many of our fellow co-workers over the years die, man. Some of them committed suicide. I don't know what was going on. Maybe the job got to be too much. They had personal issues outside of work. I'm not sure. But we've had quite a few suicides. We've had a couple officers get in bad accidents and die like that. We just had a couple officers die. Matter of fact, recently, they got into a bad motorcycle accident. They were married. They both worked at the prison with us. They were in a motorcycle club, and I guess they got into a bad accident. I think a van that pulled out, and they smashed right into the van. The dude, he died on the scene. I think his wife died on the way to the hospital, man. So that shit was really unfortunate, And it fucks with a lot of people, man, because you see these people, and it's like 1 minute you see them, and the next minute they could be gone. You don't know when your last day is on this earth. That's why I always say, in my video, I just like to always say that shit, you know, another day, another dollar, thank the Lord for another 24, because you truly don't know, you know, when it's going to be your last day and whatnot, man. So I just try to be thankful for every day that the Lord blesses me to wake up and whatnot, man. I try to live my life to the fullest. Inmate wise, I've seen a lot of death at the prison I'm at now. It's like it's a medical facility, so there's a lot of older inmates there that's sick and dying. A lot of inmates, you know, from around the nation get sent to this particular prison I'm at, you know, and it's like they're terminal. They may have terminal cancer, shit like that, you know. So it's like on a daily basis, man. And we had a lot of people, inmates dying. We had a lot of inmate deaths during COVID. You know, a lot of inmates, like I say, are older, and they died from complications from COVID. I guess it accelerated their condition. You know, I remember when I first transferred to this prison, I wasn't really used to seeing like inmates die from natural causes. So I was working a unit where a lot of inmates die like almost on a daily basis. You know, it's almost like a hospice unit. You know, they're still inmates and they're still locked up in prison, but it's like a lot of them, they're confined to the bed. You know, these people be like 70, 80, 90 years old, can't even move, can hardly even feed themselves. You know, they on their way out. And I was working up there, I think my first or second week on the job. And I'm in this office sitting, you know, the nurse called me. She was like, we just had an inmate death. I didn't know at the time, like, you know, what went down at this particular prison. Because I'm used to like a regular prison. If it's a death in a regular prison, 9 times out of 10, it's like a homicide or some shit like that, something unnatural. So I immediately perk up. I'm running over there and shit. You know, I get to the cell. It's like 3 nurses in there, 2 doctors in there. They're taking all the like the equipment off him, like the finger reader, and wrapping his body. And I come to find out they had already expected him to die. You know, it was already expected he was going to die within a week. So I wasn't familiar with how shit went down. I was still learning. You know, I just transferred to this prison from a regular medium security prison. Most of the inmates there are healthy. You know, like I said, if it's a death there, it's 9 times out of 10, it may be like a tragic heart attack, or, you know, unexpectedly or some shit like that. You know, so once I started, you know, working there longer and longer and getting acclimated, I started to see that shit. That shit kind of fucked with me. You know, working on that floor a lot, I started to kind of get depressed. Cause I'm like, man, it got to be a fucked up situation to die in prison. You know, these inmates, they be up there, you know, they got long sentences, man, and they just expire before their sentence is up. You know, the family coming up there to visit them on the unit, hospice, and they set up special visits so the family could see them. I'm like, man, no matter what, I would never want to die in fucking prison, you know, shit like that, man. I've seen homicides, like I said, man. We had a couple of homicides at the prison I'm at, man. Inmates get stump they cellmate to death in the cell, shit like that. Knock on wood, I haven't like responded, like being like the first person on the scene or something like that. But the co-worker, I was working on shift one night when a mental health inmate stumped his cellmate to death. It was overnight on night shift. That shit was crazy, man. It was like the FBI was up in there investigating everything, man. It was a lot of motherfucking shit going on, man, that following week. It was crazy. You know, we just had a homicide at the prison I'm at. Matter of fact, not too long ago, too. Another inmate had killed his cellmate in the cell, you know. But working in corrections, man, you dealing with, you know, some dangerous people. You know, there's been officers over the years, I'm sure y'all read about it and shit, that got stabbed to death in prison. You know, that's the reason why where I'm at now, we got to wear stab-proof vests. Because one officer got stabbed like 100+ times and ended up dying in the federal penitentiary and whatnot. So that's they passed the law to make it to where we have to wear stab-proof vests. They gave us the pepper spray, you know, to help defend ourselves, or if it's like something going on, shit like that. You may run into medical emergencies. I had to save an inmate's life last year. You know, he had a heart attack in the shower, and this shit is so crazy, right? It just goes to show you how shit can go from 0 to 100 real quick. It was like 3:40, almost 3:40 p.m. I'm waiting on my relief. My relief print to show up in like 10, 15 minutes. I'm finna go home. You know, I'm working the unit. I'm just sitting there chilling, you know, shit, normal day. Ain't shit really went on all day. Normal routine structure prison day. Then all of a sudden, I'm working 2 units. I'm in charge of 2 units. One officer, but I was working 2 units that day. That's how it was set up. So the inmates from the other side, they come running over. They're like, yo, this dude just fell out in the shower. He don't look good. You need to get over there right now. So I fucking run over there, man. Fucking dude laid out in the shower. Fucking water was still running, man. He wasn't moving. I'm like, fuck. So I roll him over. I put some gloves on. I roll him over and shit. His fucking eyes was open, man. He wasn't blinking or nothing. I'm like, fuck, man. So I get on my walkie-talkie and I'm like, yo, we got a medical emergency up here, man. Send help ASAP. Boom. Then I fucking started doing CPR and I started going to work on him. You know, then a couple minutes later, another staff member came. I think it was the damn warden. He was doing his rounds throughout the prison. He just happened to be on the unit downstairs, I think. And he came, responded, and he took over with the CPR. You know, and that inmate actually ended up living. You know, they said if I wouldn't have started CPR, he probably would have died. He had like 3 heart attacks in the shower. You know, I seen him. They took him out to the outside hospital. He was out there for a few weeks, but I seen him. You know, like a few weeks later, and I was working that unit. He came up to me. He was like, man, I want to thank you for saving my life. This and that. I was like, you know, man, I was just doing my job. You know, that's what they paid me to do, man. Make sure it's safe, secure, running of the institution, you know. So I was just doing my job, man. That's all, man. You know, I don't want to see nobody die under circumstances. I don't want to see nobody die, you know, man. I ain't even gonna hold you. I'm scared to die, man. I don't know how that shit, it's just the fear of the unknown. But I know one day I gotta die, man. It's just a part of life. But yeah, I done seen a lot of fucking death, you know, working in the prison system. So to all my people that's still interested in working in corrections or that's going through the hiring process that's been hitting me up, just know, man, at some point you may experience death, you know, working in the prison. And it may not be like something you used to, like, you know, going to a family member or a friend's funeral. It may be like some unnatural shit. You may come up on, man, a homicide. Inmate got stabbed to death. Shit like that, man. Inmate hung himself, you know. So just try to prepare yourself mentally for that to potentially happen. If you need counseling afterwards, ain't nothing wrong with it, man. You know, ain't nothing wrong with going to see a therapist, counselor. They at my prison I work at now, they have like support groups. They have like a whole team. Like, say, like if we have a staff member that dies or something tragically, they activate this team and they walk around. They talk to like damn near all the staff. You know, just ask them, are they okay? How you feeling? How you doing? Shit like that. You know, so just know there's resources out there too, man. If you need to talk to somebody, you know, if you thinking about having difficulties in your life, you know, on a personal level, shit is getting real, man. Try to talk to somebody, you know, as much as you can, man. Try to talk to your loved ones or friends. I don't know what be going through people's head right before they commit suicide, but I know that shit's real. You know, I can't imagine what somebody, they may be going through. They may be feeling hopeless. They may be feeling lost. You know, it's a part of life. You know, it's unfortunate, but the shit happens. You know, you may, at some point in your career, you know, a staff member may commit suicide, man. Like I said, we done had quite a few suicides over the years, man, from staff members that killed themselves, you know. So, you know, I just try to keep going. I just try to stay upbeat, optimistic as possible, you know, man, and just try to do my job to the best of my ability at the end of the day. Y'all like this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel at The Ghetto Bodybuilder. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram at The Ghetto Bodybuilder. I have merchandise for sale. Shop with me on my website, www.theghettobodybuilder.com. I got a lot of t-shirts, hoodies, a lot of fitness-related gym motivational quotes. Everything you see on my website, I created and designed the logos myself. So anytime you buy a hoodie or a t-shirt off of my website, you supporting me personally. You support my creativity, you know, my passion, you know, my ideas coming out of my head that I personally designed myself, you know. But in closing, man, just, you know, keep that in the back of your head. If you're going to be working in corrections or you thinking about applying, you know, you may see death at some point in your career. And it may not be like on some circumstances where it was suspected or, you know, somebody died of natural causes, man. It could be, like I said, inmate homicide. Inmate may stab a staff member and kill himself like that, man. You know, I'm just keeping it all the way 100. I'm not sugarcoating shit, man. I'm letting y'all know how it is, man, because I don't want y'all to get in there and think it's something that it's not. You know, some of the shit you see in these movies, you know, that's sensationalized in prison movies. Some of that shit be sensationalized for TV, but some of that shit is real. You know, when you see violence, you know, you see homicide, stabbings and shit like that. Some of that shit happen. It really goes down like that in prisons, man. So, you know, just keep your head up. Keep being optimistic, you know. Let me know if you got any questions, baby. Y'all know how we coming. Let's get motivated. Boom!